Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Ray Rickman, Chair of the Special Committee to commemorate works in public spaces in the City of Providence. We're going to have roll call. Identify myself as Ray Rickman, present. Can we start with April?
Present.
Eric?
Present.
Marco McWilliams?
Present.
So these are the members, and then we have two ex officio members, if they would identify themselves.
I am Stephanie Fortunato, Director of Providence's Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism.
I'm Caleb Horton, Providence City Archivist.
And we are going to do a quick overview of the process. And again, at any point, if members have any comments, please weigh in. And then if individuals who are part of this Zoom viewing or planning to participate, there'll be a time in which you can raise questions as well. We want to have as open a process, as informative a process as humanly possible, in spite of Zoom. So, the first item will be introduced by the city archivist in terms of giving a short briefing on it. And then when we come to the second item, and there are only two items officially on the agenda today, again, the city archivist will do the same. We'll open the process by briefing us all, including all of the members of the public. And then individuals will be able to share their rationale for proposed action on the issue. So, for instance, if we're talking about Christopher Columbus statue, individuals be able to weigh in at that point. The public comment, each member of the public wishing to comment must raise their hand so that we can identify you and again state your name. And members of the public should be brief and stick to the 1 minute or so. If you run a little over, we'll, of course, let that happen. And the truth be known, if during the course of the conversation you hear something and you want to respond again, you may do that later. So we're going to ask commentators to refrain from reiterating points made by others. And we want to, again, be rather liberal about what that means. If you just want to weigh in and say hi for whatever reason, we're really nice people and we'll let you do that. So that's basically the public process. And then the committee will discuss the proposal, the official proposal before us. And then I, the chair, will call for recommendation action. And again, just for your knowledge, the committee makes a recommendation to the governing body. For instance, the Parks Department in regards to Christopher Columbus, just to give an example. At other times, it may be Public Works or some other entity of the Providence city government that controls the site or the project that we're talking about. This is a recommendation, and then the governing body will make the decision. So again, I hope that's rather clear. We have staff from city clerk's office and from Arts and Tourism who will be doing most of the staff work. And we're going to hear from Stephanie. And well, Stephanie, will you start the conversation in regards to guidelines, we're calling them rubrics, that we're following. Every institution has guidelines, rules, regulations that they follow in order not to be scattered and in order to support their decision. And we too have that. And Stephanie will open the conversation right now with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, so just so members of the public who might be tuning in for this are aware, each of the panelists have been provided with a rubric with which to evaluate the applications that have been received to date. And that rubric is really meant to provide guidance on thinking about the variety of issues that need to be considered when making a recommendation about these existing commemorative works. And while we don't have them on the agenda today, at some point we may be reviewing new proposals for commemorations. And so the questions are meant to guide the panelists in their thinking and in their review, and to provide a point of reference for that recommendation that will be made to the body who is responsible for the commemorative work. And as a reminder, those bodies may change depending on where the commemorative work is cited. So for example, Christopher Columbus is in a public park, and so the recommendation will be provided to the Board of Parks Commissioner, who then will have to review that recommendation to make a decision. But the rubric itself was created again alongside the development of this committee. And it's really meant to outline 5 particular aspects of the commemoration. The relevance to the local community and the public life and the public space itself. Measures of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The complexity that the work of art represents, or the commemorative work represents. And then questions about siting, design, and conservation. So the full rationale for each of those evaluative measures is available at artculturetourism.com. If you go to the commemorative works page there, you can find the eligibility criteria, and that is provided alongside the application materials to everyone who has submitted a proposal. So they were aware of this eligibility criteria when they made their applications to the City of Providence. And I'm just going to ask Micah if there's anything else you think we should share about the rubric.
The rubric is linked in the chat, so you can go right to the Commemorative Works subsite and see the very categories and the very kind of like different levels, 1 to 5 scale, how each category is enumerated. So that should hopefully help you follow along in terms of how people on the committee are thinking about responding to these requests. And Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to, could we take a minute? Is there any discussion among the committee members about that rubric or questions before we begin the meeting? This might be an appropriate time to talk about that.
Well, we all read it earlier, I hope. And again, if anyone has questions or comments, please speak up.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I just have one comment about the roll call. I believe I didn't hear my name, so I just wanted to state it for the record, Rebecca Davis.
Okay. You are here.
Thank you.
I had one comment about the rubric, which I thought, worked really well and was, well put together, well thought out. I do think a lot of my answers as I was scoring it really depended on where a commemorative work would be moved, and what the new setting would be, what the new context would be. And if we don't know for sure what would happen with a commemorative work, it's rather difficult to figure out, how to score those things. And so I think, we don't have to depend on how the rubric is scored, certainly, to make our decisions, and that's good. but I do think that's something that we might want to look at some point as we maybe refine this process, is how do we make a determination about what will happen in the future when we don't really know what will happen in the future. And so I thought that was the one I don't want to say issue I had with it, because it's not really that, but it's one, I don't know, one thing I thought we might want to look at some point again.
So, you know, that is always an interesting problem. When I was in the legislature, you know, I used to vote against bills because they wouldn't give the public enough time to make adjustments. They'd say this takes effect upon a passage, and I'd vote no every time. You know, you have to give people 60 days, 90, 5 years to change what they're doing. And, you know, I just would remind us all, you don't know what tomorrow brings. You know, even if you had the 7 steps in place, and in most cases, you only have 5 steps or 4 steps. But I think we should discuss this, because it may be that we may have to take issue up again. You know, our decision wouldn't be final because as it moves forward, it doesn't work the way we thought. Anyway, that's just my quick reflection on that. Anyone else?
If I could just respond too quickly, I appreciate that comment. And I just, as a reminder, right, this is new work for the city of Providence, and we are together entering into a new endeavor here. And the structures that we create and use, we want them to be such that that generations ahead of us will be able to revisit these decisions that we have made, and understand why we made them. So yeah, I think refinement, adaptation, modification, you know, to the process itself will be a natural course that happens throughout this, since, as you know, we've built it on paper, but now we're actually testing it in process here. But transparency is important.